Hi, everyone. Welcome
Hello.
to today's webinar where we're talking more about space. Here, you gotta.
Make sure you hit the right button, James.
There we go. Beep, boop, beep. All right.
I just wanted to cruise like this all day long.
All right. Our space capsule is telling us that the atmosphere is okay in the air.
Okay.
So we can take off our helmets.
Glad I was waiting for that. I didn't want to decompress too
It's
soon.
breathable atmosphere. Yeah, I want to see one Star Trek episode where they land on a planet. They're like, no, we can't breathe here. Okay, well, hello, everyone. Today we're
Hello.
talking more about space. And Diego has put together some information on what's happening right now, a little bit of what's coming, and I'm really excited to talk about this. Let's see, a bunch of people in the Q&A box saying hello everyone, welcome.
Nice spaceship. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the inside here. If we kind of move a little bit here,
Yeah.
this is
I'll show you around the place.
yeah. Yeah, this is my crib. This is a picture of the inside of the Dragon Crew space capsule, and this is a capsule that they've been designing this for many years now. And later, at the end of next month, at the end of May, a very exciting thing. I double checked this. It's May 27th.
May
Yesterday I said it
27th.
was May 24th. It's May 27th.
I knew you were close.
I was close. They're going to be launching this capsule with 2 highly trained astronauts on it to the International Space Station
America is going back to space.
from Florida. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
Woo!
Oh,
Good.
also too, to show you around the place, these screens up here, those are from Tesla. So they're 17-inch screens, and so Elon Musk just dumped them into the spaceship. I just think that's the coolest thing. It's like we don't even really need to redesign things.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we have a question. Do you actually work at NASA? Because of your shirt, VS was asking that.
I don't officially work for NASA. I am involved with some of their educator programs through Space Center Houston. So
Good.
it's called the SEEK program, Space Exploration Educators Crew Program. So I'm part of some educators. There's 36 of us across the nation, and we work to bring in great space curriculum programs for people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, NASA is really, really interested in working with schools and working with educators to help train, to help inspire the next generation of astronauts. The first person to land on Mars might be in high school right now.
They might be watching this webinar.
They might be watching this webinar. The first person to land on one of the moons of Jupiter might be watching this webinar right now. Super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's find out where we have people from.
Oh, let's see. Oh, and so while you're putting in the Q&A box where you're from, someone asked, what does NASA stand for?
Great question.
Yep.
That is the National Aeronautics Space Administration.
Good. National having to do with the nation, aeronautics having to do with air and flying and stuff like that. Space, obviously, administration, that's just a part of the government that works on one specific topic.
Yeah.
Okay, and
from India, Florida,
all right, so
Oregon.
We've got Oregon, and hi, Henry, and Isis from Florida, and we have Moises from quarantine. Moises, like always, you're absolutely correct.
Who else we got?
Antonito,
hey!
And Kanan from Indiana, and Alette from Irvine, and Ethan from Florida. We got Caroline from Tennessee. Hi from Tennessee. And we got Ranbir from New Jersey, and Soy says that in Indiana it's raining. Yeah, it's raining here too.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's raining.
Hadia from Pakistan and Katya from Indiana. Woo! Okay. There's a billion responses here. People from all over the place. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, this is exciting.
Good. Let us get into what you have prepared for us today. Diego.
More on space exploration. All right. Welcome.
Diego, what's that?
This is an artist's rendering of what gravitational waves might look like.
So waves, not in the ocean and water, but
Yeah,
waves
this
in
is
gravity?
waves in gravity. This is a wild concept. It was confirmed at the Hanford site. So the Hanford site's really close to Oregon, where it's between Oregon and Washington. It's on the Columbia River. And they had this large laser that runs underground, like I believe it's a 3-mile stretch. And these lasers were deflected, and that set the science world on fire. Because what that means is because these lasers, this light shifted, it got scientists really excited because it confirmed the way they set up their project. It confirmed that space-time is getting warped all around us. And when you have a black hole and you have these disturbances of gravity, it goes through our very fabric. It goes through our bodies. It goes through our planet. If you were able to watch this from the outside, you would see the planet stretch and contract. And it's bizarre phenomena, but it's space-time.
It's really cool. It's
Gravitation. How do you explain this stuff?
I've been sitting here trying to figure it out as you're talking about it. So here's my attempt at explaining this. Pretend that you're in a lake. It's a hot summer day. Quarantine's over. You go to the lake or like to the river, and you're there and you're just kind of hanging out and you're having a good time chilling in the water. And this big boat goes past, and it creates this wake, and these big waves come from it, and you're sitting there, all of a sudden you're like bouncing up and down on the water, and you're like, wee, yay. All right, instead of water, you're sitting in space, or like we are sitting in space on planet Earth, and there's this huge boat, these black holes spinning around each other and creating these big waves in the water, the big waves in the space. These waves come and we kind of bob up and down with them. We don't really notice it, but it's happening. And it's a thing about the universe that it's been happening the whole time. We didn't really know about it. Now we do. That is really cool. And it gives us a better understanding of everything that's happening.
Yeah. Where there's so much science to learn every day. That's a great explanation.
Yeah.
It's like another one too. If you were to draw a picture on taffy and then stretch it out and put it back together, but that picture was your very body or our planet,
or like silly putty.
Yeah, silly putty.
Okay,
stretching and contracting.
Ethan made a really good point. I said that it's raining here, and he asked, "Is it raining meteor showers?" Because he was wondering what else it could rain in space. Ethan, yeah, good point. Good point. Well, luckily, this non-existent space capsule that we're sitting in is sitting currently in Oregon. So I guess that's where it's raining. But if it is raining meteor showers, then we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Sound the alarms. Put your spacesuits back on. Okay.
Where's mine?
Trying to ask, are those black holes? Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Those are two bits in the universe that are the gravity is so intense in them that light cannot escape it. What's happening here is these two are spinning around each other. They're caught in each other's gravity, and they're spinning, and eventually they're going to collide and combine into one bigger black hole.
Yeah, and their interaction is making waves in our space-time.
Yeah.
In our universe.
Okay.
In our galaxy. Yeah, wild stuff out there. What we got next?
Wild stuff. Possible futures of space exploration. So yesterday, I see a lot of familiar names on here today. Thank you very much for joining us again. And I see some new names. So if you weren't here yesterday, don't worry, that's okay. But we were talking about how did we get to where we are in space exploration right now? What have been some of the missions? How did we get to the moon? What were some of the things that drove humanity to leave this perfectly created ball floating in space that is perfectly designed to keep us alive? What inspired humanity to leave that and to go into a place with no air, with nothing to keep us alive, where you have to keep everything that you need to survive with you, and that's very deadly and dangerous and wants to kill you?
Well, so what changed that? I want to attempt to answer your question. Ideas. Ideas
change everything. Yeah. All right. So what are some possible futures for space exploration, Diego?
I think there's as many futures as there are ideas. But here's our next slide. You might recognize this from, where is Star Trek?
Yeah.
Star Trek, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Yes. Star Trek is a great vision of the future. And one of the things, so Star Trek came from the mind of this guy named Gene Roddenberry. And he was one like, let's make the show. Let's call it Star Trek. Let's have these, scientists and people exploring space. And he wanted to use the show to explore different ideas for what the future could be like, a good, peaceful, prosperous future.
Yeah, and like, what are the ethics of the exploration?
That's right. Like, hey, it's not okay to just like find a new planet and blow it up. No, you have to be kind. You have to be nice. If there's a planet that you find that's got people living on it, don't bug them. Like, just don't mess them up. Leave them alone. Let them be happy. That's a really simplified way of explaining it, but yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things. I know there's professors that teach with Star Trek, and there's a lot of it's because it makes you explore ideas that you might not have thought before. I know when I watch certain episodes, I'm like, what? Yeah, that is pretty wild. You know, just you get these different ideas.
We talked yesterday about one of the purposes of science fiction is just to explore new ideas. Take an idea. What if we had, glasses that could talk to you? I don't know. Let's just explore that idea. Let's see where it goes. Alette says a future could be Star Wars stuff. Yeah. Star Wars and Star Trek are two great examples of two ideas of the future. And Star Trek is very shiny and nice and clean, and Star Trek is shiny and nice and clean, and Star Wars is a little bit dirtier, a little bit grittier. There's a big bad guy in the Empire. There's, R2-D2 and C-3PO. They're always dirty, and they got dust and sand in them, and they've got like scorch marks and stuff.
Yeah, and there's people that try to work out their different devices. I mean, there's I saw a working prototype of a lightsaber that was just amazing. It would just slice through things, and it was just like, okay.
Yeah. Yep. And VS says Wall-E. Yes, Wall-E is another potential.
Oh, she guessed
future.
it.
Boom.
Who was that?
VS.
VS.
All right.
I don't know if yeses, but that's awesome.
That is exactly correct. That is another possible future that we have. For those of you who haven't seen Wall-E, Wall-E envisions a future where the comforts that we enjoy now get more and more and more comfortable. And what you see here are humans. There's these floating chairs that take them everywhere, and they've got these screens projected right in front of their face.
What did you say about screens?
What? Diego.
I wasn't listening to you. I was on my screen.
Listen to me. Put down your screen and listen. Pay attention. There's real life happening in front of you. And these guys, they don't even see what's happening around them. They live their entire life next to a swimming pool. They don't even realize it's there because their screen is right in front of their face the whole time. And they can't walk anymore because they became dependent on these chairs. They're complete slaves to the conveniences.
That was sad. That was heart-wrenching when I was watching that movie. But it was a movie, I think, that needed to express some ideas about where we can be led to or what we might do. So two possible futures. Trevor Ott, again, a guy with great ideas. He brought this up at one of our staff meetings.
Trevor Ott is the head of our school. Yeah.
Showed these two ideas, and I had to throw this in our slideshow because I think it's something to consider. What future do you want, and what future ideas do you want to pursue?
That's right.
Exploration.
Henry says, I don't think we'll have laser swords and an intergalactic system and the ability to throw people with their minds, although there are prototype lightsabers. Henry, I think you hit it right on the nose. And we're not going to have everything in there, but we could have some things. Yeah,
they actually make a Star Wars game where you put the thing on your head, and you can make a ball levitate or go down because it takes electrical signals from your brain and then transfers it to a little motor that spins a fan that levitates a ball.
Oh man, that's amazing. So Henry, I think you got it totally right. There's a lot of ideas in Star Wars and other science fiction that are, those will never happen. But there are bits that could happen.
It's
like you said, there's a prototype lightsaber.
Yeah.
So
It's a big universe.
yep. Isis says Wally was sad. It was, but it was also hopeful. It showed that even though there's a problem, there's a path to a successful future from it. Wow, so many comments. All right, good. We are somewhere in the middle. We're not Star Trek, we're not Wally, but we're getting to the future. And Diego, you're interested in what's next in space exploration, right?
Totally.
So Diego and I put together this launch party. What was the next slide here? Yeah. So
we were like, you know what's happening with SpaceX? We'll recreate
there was
that
this
moment.
new rocket launching, and it was using a new type of technology that no one had ever really tried this thing before. This was just a test launch, but Diego and I were really excited. So we put together a viewing party here at the school. What's that?
This is a Tesla. This is the Roadster. I was one of the first reservation holders for Tesla Model S. I was the 580th one. I met Elon Musk, and he sent this to me because I had one of the first deposits. There was financial crisis going on. They were about ready to pull funds, and Tesla wasn't going to be funded. But for people who were kind of faithful reservation holders, they sent us this. And it's one of my prized possessions. There's some scratches on it because my kids just had to drive it. But this is the Roadster that they sent into space. This was for the Falcon Heavy. So if we go to that launch party thing, we knew ahead of time that this was going to be sent to space. And so James and I were so pumped up about this idea, as well as Elon Musk and a lot of other people. They wanted to know what was going to happen and if it could be done. Check out this video.
Now this video, I know it's going to come through on your end a little choppy. You're not going to see it super smooth, but still some of the imagery from here is really great.
This is the car getting bolted.
Yeah, so this was a new type of rocket that they were test launching. It's called the Falcon Heavy. There's 27 engines on this thing, and usually for a test launch, they'll just take a big chunk of concrete and they'll just put that where you would normally have your satellite or whatever. SpaceX was like, concrete is boring. Let's launch a car instead. It's just as heavy as the concrete that we would launch.
And it was Elon's first Roadster.
Yeah, so Elon Musk put his own car on the top of that rocket, launched it into space. And so Diego and I were watching this happen. They live streamed the whole thing. We were watching that here at the school with our little theater full of students and staff, and it was a pretty incredible thing. That's a real picture right there. That actually happened. They put a car in space. Don't worry, the guy that you see sitting in the car, it's just a mannequin.
Yeah, we had to tell people. We had to tell the kids.
Look at that.
We didn't know if it was going to blow up.
Yeah. It says "Don't panic" on the center console there.
Within a car.
Yeah, and then a really cool thing about this is then those side boosters that helped get that rocket up into space. Those side boosters came back and they landed together.
That looks like science fiction. I'm still tripping on that.
Science fact.
Bam.
Science reality.
Bam! History was made there. 2018.
Made
Delphi
on
School
Earth.
Had a launch party.
Made on Earth
was
by
awesome.
humans.
Our staff was ecstatic. Our staff was super excited. There's James.
All right. So in my defense, I know that someone's going to. Lauren asked, when was that launch? That was about 2 years ago.
February 2018. Yeah.
There you go. Boom.
12:45 p.m. I don't know the
Kira asked, do rockets ever crash land? Yeah, totally. One of those. There are actually 3 parts of that rocket that went up and that they tried to come back and have land. You saw 2 of them land successfully, and it was a quick snippet of that video that you saw. One of the 3 crash land in the ocean because something went wrong. Oops. And Caroline asked, is the car still there? Yeah, it's still up in space right now.
Roughly Mars orbit.
It's roughly right around kind of between Mars and the asteroid belt right now. VS asked, so that car worked? Yeah, that was a fully working car. But Elon, he has a lot of money. He has a lot of cars. He thought it'd be cool to launch one into space. He can make more. I guess when you have that many cars, you can do what you want. So in my defense here, someone's going to say, James, you look really nerdy in that picture. And to that, I say, yes, thank you. I did that on purpose. That's how I normally look. And on that day specifically, it was dressed like a nerd day. So I had like a comic book in my pocket and I had tape on my glasses and all this
And
stuff.
we were totally nerding out. It was just fun. It was a great day.
Nerds make the world run. And when I was going to school in the 90s, being a nerd was not a good thing. It was not a cool thing. It was something that you got made fun of for. And I really like that nowadays, it's not a bad thing to be a nerd.
Oh, yeah,
it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. And I'm really okay with that.
Be who you are.
Be who you are. It's okay to be intelligent. It's okay to be really smart. It's okay to be really interested in things that other people maybe aren't. Yeah. No one else was going to launch their car into space. That's a pretty nerdy thing to do. And it's great.
And I'm super excited all the people that turned in here. This is awesome.
Okay.
And then we have the next photo. This is just more kids getting super excited.
See, Diego's super excited about this. And here's all these kids, all these lower school kids that were watching this launch party with us.
They got to see history.
I was so glad to be able to share this historical moment in space exploration with these students. And one of them right there, that's my son. That's my son, Beckett. He was able to experience this moment with me, and I'll always have that.
Yeah, we had all the high school there. It was an entire school launch party. Great day.
That's right.
That's just my awesome backpack. Has some cool. We have a Delphi summer camp. I'll do a quick plug for that.
Yeah.
We have a space camp. It runs 3 weeks. So if you want to learn more about space, we have that open. I know our first session is we're not taking any new people on that one, but our second session, summer camp, is still available.
Yep.
For space camp.
Exactly. If you want more information on that, you can go to our website, delphian.org or summer@delphi.org. If you forget that, like Summer at Delphi Space Camp, yep, Google that. You will find information on that space camp that Diego runs.
Yeah.
Isis says, sweet backpack.
Yeah. We had a parent donate those, so that was really cool.
Yeah. And here's another picture. Here's Diego just happily hanging out.
This is one of our PE teachers, Orlando.
This is Orlando.
He was pumped after seeing this. This was an epic moment. I think it rekindled people's dreams about space. I mean, it was just an amazing thing that hadn't occurred before. So I highly encourage you to watch lots of SpaceX videos.
Yeah. SpaceX, any kind of space launch videos. If it gets you interested, if it gets you pumped up, it's a good thing.
And 2018 was a particular interesting year for Delphi. And take a look at the next slide. This is James and I and Gail. We were at...
Gail is his wife.
Yeah, Gail's my wife. We were at the Falcon Heavy briefing by Gwen Shotwell.
Yeah, okay.
2018.
So this is in Boulder, Colorado. I think we have a
Colorado
few...
Springs.
Sorry, Colorado Springs. I think we have a few viewers from Colorado. We were there in Colorado Springs. Diego was awarded the Alan Shepard Technology and Education Award, an award given by NASA every year to one science educator in America. A big honor, and I'm just glad that I get to work with this guy.
I get to work with these guys. The award is really a team effort. We had Delphian was bringing the moon rocks. We were doing stuff. I was bringing in programs, but it was really having that team of educators with you that's ready to roll, ready to do projects and make things awesome. Like the work that's going on with our webinars and everything, we just have quite a team at Delphi.
Yeah. VS asked, was there gas in the Falcon Heavy car? You're asking the right questions. Please tell me that you are considering a career in like space technology, space engineering, something like that, because that's the kind of thinking, those are the kind of questions that put you on the right path. Another really smart engineer had the same question, like, let's make sure that we don't launch it with any gas. There was no gas in it. They took most of the air out of the tires. They kind of went through the car and they figured out like what could go wrong if we launch this thing into space.
Basically, most things that can explode, anything that could expand.
Yeah, they took out all but some of the batteries. They changed a bunch of stuff with the car, but really smart question.
In the back of this is where all the batteries. So it's an electric vehicle, no gas, but there is definitely an electric vehicle. You could theoretically put a battery pack in it and it would probably still run.
There you go. Hartley says, my brother Brody showed me a rocket that he built at Delphi, and he said it goes about 2,000 feet in the air. Yeah. I helped him with that. I helped him build that. I wasn't there when he launched it, but I helped him with some of the smaller rockets that he made.
Yeah, he also has the high-powered rocketry.
Yeah.
We just finished.
Lucas says, my friend saw it live. I think you're talking about that Falcon Heavy launch. They saw it live. That is so cool. I want to watch it live. It's so great.
I'm jealous of your brother. Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay.
All right, next slide.
Good. VS says, I want to be an astronautical engineer when I grow up. Yes. Thank you. Good. Do it. Follow that dream.
Cool. Math and science.
Good.
That's what it's all about. Learning your words, learning what all those complicated words mean. That's how you start.
That's right. Good. Now, here is a lineup of a bunch of different rockets. Some of these exist right now. Some of them are being designed and they hope to exist in the future. On the left here, we have what's called the Falcon 9 rocket. They've launched dozens of these. I just watched one launch yesterday, just like 2 hours after our webinar yesterday. Another one of these rockets launched.
Did they have satellites in it?
Yep, 60 satellites. Okay. It launched 60 satellites into space.
Wow.
This is...
That's just becoming news now. That's not even like...
No, it's just like, normal.
Yeah,
like,
another 60...
Yeah, just 60 more satellites into space. No big deal.
At once.
Yeah, we're living in the 21st century. I forget if this is the Chinese rocket or the Russian rocket.
That one on the bottom?
Yeah.
That looks like like the Russian one.
Okay, good. That is the Russian rocket that they used to launch Soyuz capsules to the International Space Station. Soyuz is the name of capsule. It can carry 3 astronauts to and from the International Space Station. Really great rocket. Really, it's strong. It doesn't fail. It works every time. Really well made rocket. Here you have, I think that's the Delta Heavy or the Delta IV Heavy. Sometimes they have super big satellites that they need to launch into space that other rockets aren't powerful enough. This one, you can see those extra boosters on the side there, and that gives it some extra oomph to get the stuff into space. Yeah. We got some other great stuff here. I'm going to move on a little bit because I have some slides that go a little bit more into detail on some of these later on.
Scale. You know, we just saw the Falcon Heavy. So mouse over the Falcon Heavy there. That gives you a scale of what's coming. We'll get into some of these rockets and stuff.
Yep.
This is the one that launched man to the moon.
I'm just gonna we're gonna give a special shout out right here. This is the Saturn V rocket. This is my favorite rocket ever made. This got people to the moon
in the 60s.
In the 60s.
What?
That's really incredible.
69. Jeez.
All right. Good. Kara asks, what does astro mean? It means having to do with space. Yeah. So astrophysics. Physics, the study of like the universe and how things physically are and move and be and stuff like that. Study of physics in space. Astro.
How stars work, how gravity works.
Yeah. So when you hear astro, think space. If someone says, I have an astro car, you can think they're saying I have a space car.
Astro van.
And only one person can say that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, on to the next one.
Right. Here is the Dragon crew.
From the outside.
Yeah. So what's behind us is the inside of the capsule that you see right there.
That's the view from the outside. It has a hatch door. They have Draco motors on the sides of this thing.
Draco's the name of the engine. They were like, hey, we're making this new kind of rocket engine. What should we call it? I don't know. Draco. Okay.
I don't know the specs offhand, but they're just these super powerful rockets. That specs means specifications. It's like how much power it produces, and it gets into all the technical details like that.
Yeah. VS asked, what are the windows made of? Yeah. super, super, super strong, clear material. Again, you're asking the right questions. So let's see, do we have windows really on this?
Yeah, on this,
If
if we look at this one, you can see some of the portholes. Go to this
kind
slide
of,
here.
you can kind of see like a
Yeah, there you go.
porthole over here.
Yeah, we can look out that.
I
close
think
it.
what they use is super thick glass, kind of like think bulletproof glass. They just make it really, really thick to make it difficult to break and makes it very strong. I think they use that, but it's a very specific, special design. And I think they do several layers of it.
Yeah,
So that even if something happens to one.
and I don't know specifically on the Dragon capsule, but you know the blue water bottles that a person has, those are made out of Lexan. And Lexan, when you layer it really thick, it makes this. That's what bulletproof glass is made out of.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's amazing.
So it's like Lexan is just a special kind of material that's really tough.
Yeah, that won't
really
shatter.
cool.
So they don't use silica like glass. They use that plastics type stuff.
Good. We had someone ask, what does NASA stand for again? And then Kara asked, what does ARROW mean? So let's just break those down really quick. NASA, again, is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. National, it's involving the whole country of the United States. Aeronautics having to do with air and space and the study of and how do you get things to fly and stuff like that. Aero meaning in the air, having to do with the air, having to do with the sky and with flight. Space. Administration, part of the government that works on a specific topic. Okay, good. If I miss your questions in here, the Q&A section is moving 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So if I miss your questions, I apologize. I'm going to try to catch as many of these as I can. Henry asked, do you think there will ever be a Death Star? I don't think so. The thing was 90 kilometers wide. It was just impractical. I think that, well, I could do a whole webinar on
Let's look at the
engineering
next slide.
problems in the Star Wars universe. Next slide. There's the inside.
Yeah, there's the inside. And then, so that's our background today. Let's go to the next
That's really
one.
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I think a spaceship should look like
Yeah.
on the inside. It looks like a spaceship.
The seats are carbon fiber. And the cool thing about this spaceship is they custom make them for each astronaut. So they figure out the astronaut's weight, and then they get molds of the astronaut. So they lay in it, and then they make the foam so it just cushions their each astronaut has a custom made seat. I think that's a nice touch.
That's a nice touch. Madeline with a great question. What were the windows on old rockets made out of, or were there any at all? Yes, those rockets had windows. Cameras weren't as good back then, so you couldn't have just like a bunch of cameras on the outside and completely seal off your capsule and just have screens on the inside. They didn't really have the technology for that then, but they knew how to make windows. They knew how to make really strong windows. They did, they definitely had the technology to make an airtight capsule, put some really strong windows on it. They weren't big, they were small, because that's better for that kind of design. It's less chance of something going wrong.
Yeah, we're at T-minus 10 minutes.
Oh, we're at T-minus 10 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Boopy doopy doop.
Next slide.
All right. Here, so yeah, here's
a
another
portal.
angle from the
See
inside.
the porthole there. Yep.
Oh, yep, there it is. There's the window. Again, it's not super huge because the bigger the window is, the more chance of something going wrong. And you don't want that.
Yeah.
Another angle inside.
This was flown. What you're looking at here, this is demo 1. This was a mannequin that was in there. It's not a real human. They sent up a mannequin with sensors just to see what it would be like if a human did fly. And they snuck aboard some cargo. It was a hug from Earth. So it was really cool. This guy that they're showing here, he's the little plush toy that the astronauts, they opened up the hatch and they got to give him a hug. It was a hug from Earth. A really cool touch SpaceX sent to our astronauts aboard the ISS.
International Space Station.
Yeah, ISS, International Space Station.
Yeah.
Here we have Elon Musk. He's talking to the crew that is going to the ISS. And so he's also talking to Jim Bridenstine here. Jim Bridenstine is the leader of NASA right now. He's the the main administrator. So he's making sure the spaceships that they hired for the NASA program that they're working and everything's going good. This is them on the bridge. So this is the gantry going out to
Gantry, special walkway that goes
to your spaceship.
to your spaceship. My spaceship? Okay, good. We're gonna speed up a little bit here because we've been doing that thing again where we have a ton planned and then we talk about one thing for a long time. So this is Elon Musk, and this is a guy named Yusaku, and he is a Japanese businessman. That these two guys are partnering up to send humans to the moon by the year 2024. So yes, we've been to the moon. We landed on the moon in the 60s and 70s, but we haven't really been back since the 1970s. And the way someone explained it to me was we got to the moon, we did a bunch of science, we studied the rocks, we found out it was not made of cheese, and we were like, all right, well, why come back? That's a little bit of a joke. But these guys are like, let's get people to the moon. Let's get, like, yes, scientists and stuff like that, but what about artists?
Love this photo.
So their plan is to select 8 artists and to send them to the moon, not to land, but to orbit the moon, to go orbit the moon and look at it and see it. And they're going to send these artists on, here's an idea of what the SpaceX spaceship is going to look like.
This was called the Big Falcon ship.
Yep.
And it was, this was the original design. Now they named it the Starship, but just some amazing, really cool things. This is another artist rendering of what it might look aboard.
Yeah.
Starship.
Like, has there ever been a violin performance in space? We know there's been guitar performances in space. How about violins? Artists. I mean, the purpose of an artist is to see things, to imagine things that the rest of us haven't yet, to help expand our minds and our horizons and what we think is possible. One of the astronauts that went and landed on the moon, help me out with Alan Bean?
Alan Bean?
Alan Bean, astronaut.
Oh, the painter.
Yeah. He's a very good painter, and after his missions to the moon, he did a lot of paintings. I should have thought to put one in here. And the way he's able to communicate what being on the moon, what it's like to be on the moon, it's completely unique. I've never seen any other paintings like it.
Oh.
What if we were to send a bunch more?
Oh yeah, that's the idea with this. Ideas.
Yes.
It comes down to ideas and putting ideas in the future. Right now, with the quarantine, there's a lot of people that are nervous and they don't know what the future really looks like. But it's helpful to put ideas into the future. Yep,
you can always have ideas. A couple of people are asking, like, when was this, or is this going to happen? This is planned. Here's them in a press conference last year. They're planning to get this mission launched in 2024. So in the next 4 years. And I know that seems like a long ways away. You're like, wow, I'm 10 now, I'm going to be 14 then, or I'm 14 now, I'm going to be 18 by the time these guys launch. But the reality is, you want to take that. 4 years is not a lot of time when it comes to developing and launching.
Especially these ambitious plans.
Yeah. And when you're sending people into space, you want to take the time to do it right. Javiera asks, is there anyone in space right now? Yep. Not like in this picture, but yes, there's someone in space right now. There's like, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in space. There's 2 more going in a few weeks.
Jessica Meir just landed last week, and that was the sister of one of our teachers in Boston, at Delphi, Boston.
Yeah. So yes, Javiera, I think I was saying your name wrong before. I apologize. It's been a long time since there's not been someone in space.
Yeah, we're close to 25 years of continual habitation in space aboard the space station.
Go humans.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm sorry to ignore the rest of the questions in the Q&A. When we are done, I'm going to take the last 4 minutes here, and I'm just going to run through a bunch of information that I have about, like, what's coming up, what's next, right? But I'm going to hang around in the Q&A section for a few minutes afterwards and try to answer everything that I'm missing. If you have topics that you want to learn more about that we're not covering, say it in the Q&A section, because we got more classes coming up next week. So, did you know that we're returning to the moon?
Yeah.
Yeah, humanity's return to the moon. We don't care that it's not made of cheese. We want to go back. Here's an artist looking at what it might look like on our return mission to the moon.
And the Artemis program. So here's the moon. And really this isn't to scale, but the moon would be, let me put it on this side so you can see that a little better. The moon would be much further out. This isn't to scale. We went over scale last time, but the Artemis program, they want to get a orbiter around the moon, a station, not as big as the space station, but they call this the lunar gateway, and it's going to orbit like this. Okay, very simple. And then they'll be able to send probes down to the moon and get water ice, get material, do more investigations, more science, learn more about that area. But this is going to be there to stay for a long time. They'll operate it 3 months out of the year. Great, amazing things. We could spend an entire thing just talking about the Artemis program.
So much, yeah. So going really quickly here, they have a sequence of missions planned. The Artemis 1 mission is going to get a human spacecraft to the moon. So the spacecraft that they want to send humans in, they're going to send it just by itself first, just to make sure nothing goes terribly wrong. Artemis 2 is they're going to do the same mission again, but this time with people. And then they're going to send more supplies. Artemis 3 is they're going to send that mission to create that lunar gateway, that space station orbiting the moon. Space station orbiting the moon!
So cool.
Guys, we're living in the 21st century. This is the Space Launch System. How are they going to get all this stuff to the moon, you ask? It's really heavy and it's far away. Yep. You need a launch system to send stuff to space. So they're making the Space Launch System. This is an extremely powerful rocket that can launch a lot of material very far into space, which is good. Here's what it might look like in flight. They've been working on this for a while. There's a lot of really smart people working on this. SpaceX, we were talking about plenty earlier. They are one of the players in the game that is most progressed in many of these things that we're trying to achieve right now. Here is just an artist rendering, an artist's idea of what that SpaceX Starship might look like.
And this thing, when it returns back to Earth, these wings act like a parachuter, and they're able to slow down. This thing, they call it an attack angle. It's how it enters into the Earth's atmosphere. This attack angle is almost 90%, so it can slow down on the belly of this
Yeah,
craft.
so it's not going to land so much like a plane coming in like that, but it's going to come in like a skydiver, like
with the wings flapping.
ah.
Yeah.
The wings are not going to flap. 1 minute left. Okay, let me power through this
so
stuff.
much to talk about.
We ran out of time. I need more time to talk about space. Luckily, that's going to happen next week. Virgin Galactic is another company that's working on getting humans to space. This is their Spaceship 1, and that thing right there, that's the spaceship. And it rides on the underside of this plane. The plane takes it up to, I don't know, 40, 50,000 feet. And then the spaceship part of it drops from the plane, fires its rocket engine, and goes up to space. They've had several successful flights. Blue Origin is another company, and this is Jeff Bezos, the guy who owns Amazon. He also owns Blue Origin, and the guy's got a lot of money. He doesn't just sit on it. He's taking a lot of that money and he's investing it in spaceflight technology. This is an artist's concept for what he calls the New Glenn rocket, named after John Glenn, one of the first astronauts in space. This is an actual thing. This is an actual car. It looks like science fiction space stuff. This is an actual car that SpaceX made, and their engineers, the ideas that they're using to develop space technology and space exploration technology, the ideas that they're using to develop space capsules and materials to build spaceships and stuff like that out of. They're also using that to build stuff here on Earth. So basically, you could say that truck came out of a spaceship factory.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. The still that they're using on the stainless steel gets stronger the colder it gets.
Yeah.
And that's magical. That's a magical formula for space exploration, because the Starship is using the same technology. It's cold rolled steel, meaning they don't heat it up. They just roll it cold and it compresses the steel, and you get this super strong skin that can be used for rockets.
It's a spaceship truck. That's one way to look at it. We're out of time. We're over time. Okay. Thank you so much.
Decompression.
Yeah. All right, everyone. You can go to heronbooks.com and you can learn a lot about math. You can learn a lot about science, a lot about space. If you're going to be going into the space field, if you're going to become an engineer, if you're going to be doing any of this stuff, you need a really solid foundation of math and science and the basics. And you really want that. heronbooks.com can help you do that. There's a lot of courses on there that really give you those basics and some of the more advanced stuff too. So go there. Delphi in the 30 is the promo code to get 30% off. Like I said, I'm going to hang around in the Q&A section here even after I turn off the camera and microphone. So if you have more questions, stick around. Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
We'll see you next week. Why am I yelling? I think they can hear me. You can hear me just
I'm gonna
fine.
hit these buttons so we can close.